Chapter 8. The Council's Fury and a Desperate Escape. The high-security transport hangar on Xylos Prime was a marvel of Council engineering. A vast, gleaming cavern filled with sleek shuttlecraft designed for rapid deployment and high-speed interception. Rex Vance, with Alara Reese at his side, stood amidst the chaos they had just unleashed, a single thought burning in his mind: steal a ship. There! Alara pointed to a sleek black shuttle, its engines humming softly, ready for immediate launch. Council Courier Class X-47. It's fast, heavily shielded, and should have an updated navigation system. Perfect, Rex grunted, already moving towards it. Alarms blared throughout the complex, and the distant shouts of security forces grew louder. The massive power surge they'd triggered in the data vaults had effectively crippled a large section of the archives, drawing away the bulk of the security detail. This was their narrow window. As they approached the shuttle, two council guards, space poodles, with their distinctive fluffy ears and rigid posture, rounded a corner, their energy rifles raised. "Halt, unauthorized personnel," one of them barked, his voice distorted through his helmet. Rex didn't hesitate. He raised his plasma pistol and fired. The bolts sizzled, impacting the poodles' energy shields, forcing them to momentarily stumble. "Go, Alara, get us in." Alara sprinted to the shuttle's boarding ramp, quickly overriding its locking mechanism. With a soft hiss, the ramp extended. Rex provided cover fire, keeping the poodles pinned down. Their shields were tougher than the asteroid keepers, but the sheer force of Rex's plasma bolts was enough to keep them on the defensive. He dove into the shuttle's cockpit, slamming the hatch shut behind him. Alara was already in the pilot's seat, her fingers flying across the alien controls. "This is not the Wanderer, Captain," Alara exclaimed, grappling with the unfamiliar interface. "The controls are completely different. It's designed for a multi-species crew." "Figure it out, Alara, now," Rex yelled, scanning the hangar. More council guards were pouring in, energy weapons glowing menacingly. With a grunt of frustration, Alara slammed her hands on the primary console. "All right, system. Engage emergency liftoff sequence." The shuttle shuddered violently, its engines roaring to life with a deafening whine. The sudden surge of power sent equipment crashing to the floor. The council guards outside scattered, stunned by the unexpected liftoff. Rex threw himself into the co-pilot's seat, securing his safety harness. "Get us out of this hangar, fast." Alara wrestled with the controls, the unfamiliar interface proving challenging. The shuttle lurched forward, swaying precariously. It was a dancer, not a lumbering hauler like the Wanderer, and Alara was used to heavy, stable movements. "They're firing," Rex warned, as energy bolts sparked against the shuttle's reinforced hull. The X-47's shields were far superior to the Wanderer's, shrugging off the hits with ease. "I'm trying, Captain," Alara cried, sweat beading on her forehead. "This thing is too sensitive, too agile." With a burst of adrenaline, Alara finally got a handle on the controls. The X-47 shot forward, a black streak through the hangar. It blasted through the main hangar doors, sending shrapnel flying, and shot out into the bustling orbital space of Xylos Prime. Immediately, a swarm of Council patrol ships, alerted by the hangar breach, converged on their position. Their comms crackled with angry demands for identification and surrender. "They're hailing us, Captain," Alara shouted. "Ignore them," Rex barked. "Just focus on getting us away from this rock." Alara, now finding her rhythm, began weaving the shuttle through the dense orbital traffic, dodging passenger liners and cargo freighters. The Council patrol ships, though fast, struggled to keep up with the X-47's agility in the crowded space. "They're trying to lock on their weapons," Alara warned, seeing the targeting reticles appear on their view screen. "Activate countermeasures," Rex commanded. "Evasive maneuvers, anything." Alara slammed a series of buttons. The X-47's advanced countermeasures deployed, scattering a flurry of chaff and flares, briefly disrupting the patrol ship's targeting systems. They continued their desperate flight, a single rogue shuttle against the might of the Galactic Council. Suddenly, a new, more powerful signal appeared on their long-range scanners. It was a familiar energy signature, cold and predatory. "Captain, it's the Shadow Keepers," Alara exclaimed, her voice filled with dread. "Their ship. They knew we would come for this fragment." Rex cursed under his breath. Commander Valerius. He must have anticipated their move, positioned his ship, the one with corrupted Libertonian tech, to intercept them once they escaped. "They're locking on," Alara yelled. "A precision energy weapon, it's targeting our engines." "Get us into the asteroid field," Rex commanded, pointing to a small, dense cluster of rocks visible on the edge of the orbital space. "The closer, the better." Alara skillfully piloted the X-47 towards the asteroid field. The Council patrol ships hesitated, unwilling to risk their vessels in the treacherous debris. But the Shadowkeeper's ship, sleek and agile, plunged right in after them, unconcerned by the danger. The chase became a desperate dance among the asteroids. Rex's stomach lurched as Alara performed breathtaking maneuvers, dodging colossal rocks and evading the precise energy blasts from the Shadowkeeper's ship. The X-47's shields glowed red under the constant bombardment. "Their weapon is powerful, Captain," Alara reported, grimacing. "It's ripping through our shields. We can't sustain this." "Don't let up, Alara. Keep moving," Rex yelled, his eyes scanning for any opportunity. He remembered Whisper's advice. "Your unpredictability is your greatest asset." He had an idea. It was crazy, but it might just work. "Alara, can you vent our primary fuel lines?" A small controlled burst directed towards their ship, Rex commanded. Alara's eyes widened. "Vent fuel in an asteroid field? Are you mad, Captain? We could blow ourselves up." "Just enough to create a temporary cloud," Rex retorted. "They're using advanced optical sensors for targeting. A sudden fuel cloud will blind them for a second. Give me an opening." Alara hesitated for only a fraction of a second, then nodded grimly. "All right, Captain," preparing a controlled fuel vent. As the Shadowkeeper's ship closed in for another devastating strike, Alara hit the vent sequence. A burst of volatile fuel spewed from the X-47's rear thrusters, instantly expanding into a shimmering, reflective cloud in the vacuum of space. "Now, Captain," Alara shouted. Rex, with precise timing, fired a single, carefully aimed plasma bolt from the shuttle's rear weapon system. It hit the fuel cloud. A blinding explosion erupted behind them, turning the asteroid field into a temporary inferno. The fuel cloud, ignited by Rex's plasma, expanded rapidly, creating a massive fiery sphere that engulfed the Shadowkeeper's ship. "Direct hit," Alara yelled, her voice filled with a mixture of shock and triumph. The Shadowkeeper's ship was thrown backward by the explosion, its cloaking device completely failing, revealing significant damage to its hull. It spun wildly, its engines sputtering, before crashing into a massive asteroid, erupting into a silent, fiery inferno. Rex and Alara watched in stunned silence as the enemy ship was consumed by the void. Valerius was gone. A grim silence filled the cockpit. "You did it, Alara," Rex finally said, his voice low. "You took out their best." Alara let out a long, shaky breath. "It was a desperation move, Captain. And it was Valerius. He was human, part of our own Federation." The victory felt hollow. It was a necessary act of self-defense, but the cost was the life of another human, twisted by deceit and propaganda. The truth they were fighting for carried a heavy price. "We need to find a safe place," Rex stated, his gaze falling on the Veritas fragment glowing on the console. "Another piece of the puzzle, retrieved at a terrible cost. A place where we can make sense of this, and somewhere we can figure out who else in the Federation is involved with these Shadowkeepers." Alara, still shaken, began plotting a course. "There's a remote independent space station known as the Haven. It's off the grid, known for its neutrality and its discreet clientele. Pirates, smugglers, independent contractors, no council presence. The Haven it is," Rex decided. A place where they could regroup, process the information they had, and plan their next move without constantly looking over their shoulders. As they flew deeper into uncharted space, away from the glittering, deceptive lights of Xylos Prime, Rex reflected on the growing complexity of their mission. It was no longer just about retrieving fragments. It was about exposing a conspiracy that reached into the heart of humanity's own institutions. The Veritas Protocol was more than just history. It was a weapon, and they were wielding it against an enemy that fought with lies and betrayals. The journey had just become far more personal and far more dangerous. They arrived at the Haven several days later. It was a motley collection of salvaged modules and reinforced plating, orbiting a small, unremarkable gas giant. Its exterior was rough, utilitarian, but its interior hummed with the low thrum of independent life. It was a sanctuary for those who lived beyond the Council's laws, a perfect place for a space trucker and a scientist on the run. They docked at a discreet bay, their stolen Council shuttle, drawing some curious glances from other independent ships, but no overt suspicion. Rex knew the code of the Haven. Nobody asked questions, and nobody volunteered answers. Inside the station was a chaotic symphony of alien languages, the clatter of dice games, and the aroma of exotic, questionable food. Rex felt a grudging familiarity with the place. He'd visited similar stations on his long hauls. They found a small private booth in a dimly lit cantina. Rex ordered a strong black brew, while Alara ordered a synth juice. The exhaustion of their recent ordeal weighed heavily on them. "We need to contact Whisper," Alara said after a long silence. "Tell them what we've learned about the Shadow Keepers and Valerius." Rex nodded. "And we need to figure out our next move. Where's the next fragment on that map? And how do we get it without blowing up half the galaxy?" He pulled out the Libertonian map. The glowing dots still spread across the holographic projection. The next nearest fragment was in a heavily secured alien trade hub, notorious for its tight security and ruthless corporate overlords. "This one's going to be tricky," Alara observed, tracing a finger across the map. "The Xylos Prime mission was pure audacity. This requires stealth infiltration, something we're not equipped for." "We'll find a way," Rex said, a stubborn glint in his eye. "We always do. And maybe, just maybe, we can find some help here on the Haven. Someone who knows how to operate in the shadows, outside the Council's gaze." The thought of recruiting allies, of building a small rogue team, was daunting. Rex was a loner, a single-ship trucker. But this was no longer a solo journey. The Veritas Protocol was too big, the Shadow Keepers too dangerous. They needed more than just courage. They needed cunning, resources, and perhaps a few unconventional friends. As he sipped his bitter brew, Rex glanced around the cantina. Shady figures huddled in corners, smugglers exchanged hushed words, and mercenary types eyed each other warily. Somewhere in this den of outlaws, perhaps, lay the key to their next move. The fight for truth was about to get a lot dirtier.